Chapter 20. The First Sin. Monday, February 8, 2008. It was a sunny but cold morning. There was a bit of fog around the suburbs and the city. The night before, Gavin had not slept at Asgard Ranch. He and the rest of his family friends had gone home to sleep that night before the start of classes in the 7th year, to spend a day with their parents. Each one would get to the school on their own. Around 6:20 in the morning, Gavin took the first train to Rhoda School. In his car there were only 2 first-year students. They reminded him of when he was 12 years old and he took his first train trip with nerves on point for the opening ceremony and assignment of the house. He listened carefully as the 2 boys in front of him read a pamphlet aloud about the schoolhouses, and talked about where they would like to be assigned. After 40 minutes on the train, he finally arrived at school, and immediately headed towards the living room in search of his friends. Upon arriving at the living room he met Alvord and Black. "You arrived early," Black said to Gavin. "We didn't see you at the station." Alvord said, "Yes, I took the first train, but they gave me space in the last cars," Gavin responded. After the small conversation, then Roger and Adrian appeared. "Nervous?" Roger asked while rubbing his hands. "Why?" Adrian asked. "Well, I imagine there's news about the suspects in the minister's murder," Gavin said. "Of course, well, we'll just have to wait. Let's see what the day has in store for us," said Black. That same day in the afternoon, they noticed the presence of 2 new boys in the 7th year. Mariah introduced a girl with long, thick, brown hair, cat eyes, who played the clarinet. Her name was Emily Moyes. She practiced the discipline of the swordsman, so their weapon was a bronze sword, broncle, where the clarinet was shown on its hilt. This reminded the boys of the music lesson they had with Professor Arnold in the 1st year. On the other hand, on the side, a tall, dark boy, with curly military-cut hair, green eyes, with a giant canteen on his back, bronze piece, similar to a pumpkin with his belt, greeted the rest of the room. His name was Chaka Rivers. He was practicing the discipline of pyromancy. "Guys, meet Emily Moyes. She has been assigned to the Jade Clovers. She came here in the 7th year after spending many years traveling with a very renowned symphony orchestra. We have known each other since we were children in Green Hills. She lives very close to the Black and Rogers home. Emily's home is on 4th Street, 22nd Avenue, said Mariah. "Hello, Emily." "It's a pleasure," answered everyone in the room. "Oh, thank you very much, guys. The pleasure is mine. I love music, and I also like duels. This is my bronze sword. I got it before entering this year. After perfecting my skills with the wooden one and the iron. It was a gift from my father since I was 11 years old," Emily exclaimed. "Hello, my name is Chaka. It is a pleasure to meet you all. I do not live in Green Hills. I live in the New Riverville district with my mother. My canteen always accompanies me. It is my weapon and my specialty is the element of fire." The boy burst into the conversation, and at the end of his instruction, Chaka took a sip from his canteen and threw a huge flame towards the ceiling. The rest of the hall was very impressed. "Wow," they all said open-mouthed. "Nice to meet you, Chaka." "Oh, that was impressive," said Gavin in amazement. Black, Lewis, Roger and Adrian noted that both boys were perfect candidates to join the cause of the prophecy. "Hey, what do you do here for fun?" "I love playing football. I think that in a few years I would like to join the house team. I was assigned here because I love protecting nature. In New Riverville I have some brigades about the protection of forests. Although my element is fire, I love to control it to avoid forest fires. I can also use water skills, which, although it may seem ironic, you must always know and master the weapon, the skill you use and its counterpart. It is like being in the light and the darkness. You must know both sides," Chaka mentioned. Mariah, "Why don't you give Chaka and Emily a tour of the school?" That's how you explain to them how we have fun around here, Gavin suggested. Sure. Count on me, Mariah answered. At that, the three boys left the room, and after a while, Gavin noticed that Mary Cross's seat was empty in the room. So he remembered the promise and immediately ran towards the area of games where the swings were. After a few minutes running until he reached the place, he noticed that there was no one on the swings, so he decided to check some other places such as the gardens, the women's bathroom, the library, the classroom of Professor Digo Calders of Literature and History, the entrance to the Green Forest, but there was no sign of it. In the afternoon, Gavin returned to the living room, crestfallen. Where Alvord, Roger and Lewis were there. What's happening? Why that face? Asked Roger. Have any of you seen Mary Cross? Asked Gavin with concern. No. I remember that she had left the ranch on the day of the news, that she had to attend to some, said Alvord. Didn't she come to class today? Asked Lewis. No, and she's not at the ranch. I didn't see her at the train station either, said Gavin in the living room. Adrian didn't say anything and he continued erasing some letters on the blackboard to form not very pleasant words. With that, Angelica made his entrance into the classroom. Angelica, hey, have you seen or spoken to Mary Cross? Gavin asked. No, yesterday I went to look for her at her home. But there was no one there, Angelica said. What happened to her? Is she sick? She asked Gavin again with concern. Calm down, she's probably fine. I'm sure she will be back in a few days, said Roger. That day in the afternoon, Gavin did not return to the ranch after school. He went to the Green Hills neighborhood to Mary Cross's home. When he arrived at the place, the doors were closed, so he left a letter in the mailbox, and he went to the ranch. Once there, she went to her room, and at the entrance to the girls' dormitories, she asked Paula if she had seen Mary Cross return to her room, but Paula said that she had not seen her in weeks, and so had the other girls who were there. There as Priscilla and Samantha. The months passed, and Gavin was still very sad, since he had not seen his friend for months, and it was not only that. He felt a mourning in his mind about whether his friend had gotten angry for not keeping his promise to look for her the first thing in the morning, after the start of classes. He really wanted to share with his friend again, and that alarmed the other members of the group, so one afternoon in June of that year, in the meeting room, everyone held an assembly to discuss the topic. Guys, I think Mary Cross's absence is too worrying. We haven't heard from her since the day she shot herself. She hasn't gone to school and there are no traces at home. None of us know what happened to her. What should we do? I think this is as important as keeping track of the prophecy, said Gavin. Do you think someone kidnapped her? Remember what happened to us a few years ago? Said Paula. Could it be that your family moved? Asked Samantha. No way to think about it. I couldn't live with that. It happened to me once with someone I loved very much. And I want it to happen again. Said Gavin, crestfallen. This is serious. We are without a fundamental piece of our headquarters. A person who has always handled a lot of information due to his knowledge from reading. We must do something, Black suggested. But do what? Roger shouted. Hey! Didn't you say that there was a girl in a castle who could see the whereabouts of lost people with a mysterious fountain or water? Alvord asked. It's true. The Princess of Asturias. We should go with her tomorrow after school. Gavin said hopefully. Well, since you guys are going to take care of that, Mariah, I wanted to ask you a favor. Do you think I can convince Chaka and Emily to join the group? Black asked Mariah. Yes, but do you think they will listen to me? Mariah answered doubtfully. I'm going with you. We will go to the Green Forest tomorrow. There we will tell them everything and we will bring them back in the afternoon, said Priscilla. Oh, yes, come with me. You will be a great help, said Mariah. Well, it's decided. Those will be the two tasks for tomorrow, said Black. A new day began, on Wednesday, June 9, 2008, in the morning. While everyone was in the room, unexpectedly and surprisingly, Professor Silvana made her entrance and said, "Good morning, young people, it's nice to see you again." Professor Silvana, what are you doing here? Gavin asked in a clipped voice. Well, I was traveling for many years, I was in training in a distant town. Learning new things in terms of education and discipline. I am back in my position that I had when I left, as an academic coordinator, answered Professor Silvana. Well, since you left. Many professors have had the position, many of them disappeared, said Adrian. Oh yes. I was very aware of everything that happened in recent years, said the teacher while crossing her arms and raising her eyebrows. Who is she? Black whispered in Roger's ear. Yes. Who is she? Alvord murmured to Adrian. Roger, who is this? Lewis asked in Roger's ear. She was the academic coordinator when we started our first year. But she had left before you guys got here and now she's back, Roger said. But well, I didn't come here just to greet you and tell you about my trip. I came because I have to give you an extremely important and very delicate message, said Professor Silvana. What is it about? Gavin asked curiously. Well, as you know, the school is investigating together with the city council and the Lunesk station about the events that occurred with the minister. We are searching for the suspects. Apparently they are 10 students and the rest of their followers. At this moment we are making certain observations about the houses. To tell you that if the culprit or culprits of the incident are found in this house and this room, I am afraid that the decisions and consequences taken by the school will be final and mandatory. Without exception, and you must follow the instructions it dictates. The school, the commissioner and the city council. In addition to this, there will be the patriarch, since it is a delicate crime. And that is a norm in the rules of spirituality that violates the values and rules of our school. I will explain later about the first sin, that would be, have a good day, Silvana explained. Professor, I have another question. Gavin said. Yes? What would? The teacher turned around. Our classmate Marycross Toadsworth has been absent for months. Do you know what happened to her? Said Gavin. Oh, yes, well, I don't know much, but, according to what they say, she is missing. The school has already reported this to the Lunesk station and the city council. She is still registered at the school, but her absence worries us, so from this moment a search effort has begun. Let's hope she is well, he argued. Professor Silvana then left the room, and the questions about Marycross's disappearance became more and more. Well, we are left with the Princess of Asturias that you know. Let's hope she can give a more accurate answer, said Black. Yes, I can't wait until it's 4 in the afternoon to go with her. Let's hope Marycross is fine, said Gavin anxiously. Mariah, remember what I told you? Black said to Mariah and she responded, yes, I will do it in a while. That day during the afternoon break, Mariah and Priscilla invited Emily and Chaka to take a walk through the green forest. When they were about to arrive at the place, they met a person who had not been seen for many years. It was Alice, the girl from the cabin who had stolen the yellow orb. Hello, guys, how have you been? Asked the girl. Who are you? Mariah asked, surprised. You're from the Scarlet Eagles. What's on offer? Priscilla asked. Nothing. Just that, when I saw their uniforms, they reminded me of some boys a few years ago who had visited my cabin in New Riverville, said Alicia. Who? Asked Mariah abruptly. There were 3 boys, if I remember correctly. Their names were Roger, Adrian and Gavin, said Alicia. And what do you want from them? Asked Priscilla. That doesn't matter to you, Alice said abruptly and then added, I just want to take care of some pending bills. Now that I'm at school, Alice said with an evil face while she lifted the sleeve of her shirt and showed a drawing of a red eagle on her wrist. Of his arm. What is that? Mariah asked. This? Ha ha. It is a mark from the house where I was assigned. I would like to give you more details, but I can't. I don't have time. Now, if you would be so kind. Could you tell me where the three of them are? Said Alicia. If you want to know, you will have to, fool. That's not your concern. But let me tell you, the castle was destroyed. It's on fire. Rubble. I took it upon myself to destroy it. It's a ruin. That stupid princess had to pay for what she did. The only thing she managed to do was truncate the plans she. But, luckily, it no longer exists, and it won't bother you anymore. Alicia explained maliciously. What did you do? What? Damn it! Priscilla shouted sharply. Ha, ha, ha. Were you planning to go with her to find out about her friend? Alicia said. What? Do you know where Marycross is? Asked Mariah. Of course I know, but I won't tell you, said Alice. Tell us where it is, shouted Priscilla. I won't waste my time on you. I'll take care of eliminating you. And then I'll go after Gavin, Roger and Adrian, said Alicia. We'll see if you can beat us in a duel, said Mariah, and Priscilla turned to Emily and Chaka saying, Guys, help us. I don't know who the hell you are. But I will be part of the duel with them, Chaka answered. And me too, Mariah, count on me, Emily said while getting her sword ready. This way we will see what you and your powers are made of, said Priscilla. I will finish you, Alicia shouted. The duel began. Alicia Cube of the New Riverville Cabin, a 7th-year student of the House of the Scarlet Eagles, against Mariah, Priscilla, Emily and Chaka. Alicia was a girl who does not use weapons. Everything was based on the powers that she cast with her hands. She was an expert in dark magic. Followed by this, Mariah used Reflect to be defensive. Alicia used Berna against the group. So Chaka took out the bronze canteen from her, and all the fire that was coming towards the group was absorbed by that large pumpkin on her back. Alicia again attacked using Floriga, where a flash of green light began to turn into vines towards the direction where Emily was, but with her sword, she made a vertical slash and cut the grass vines. Alicia raised her hands again, and a black flash came out of her finger, as she used Nulaga and Bersaka to cause immobilization in the boys and causing madness and anger in them as it caused them to be in a berserk state. Priscilla dodged the attack, so with her spellbook she used Frieza on Alicia, lowering her defense and vitality quite a bit. Alicia used her special attack and launched a triple beam of Darknaga, Psykarga and Bersaka against the group, but fortunately the reflex still was taking effect and turned against her, hitting her hard but not causing any status effects. Following this, Emily and Chaka used their special attacks, so Emily used Sword Dance and hit Alicia hard, making her lose her next turn, and so Chaka took the opportunity to use Hydro Bomb and launched a huge Aquara attack, making her Alicia fell defeated. At the end of the fight she stood up and her eyes rolled back in her head, where she began to say the following words, My mistress. I have failed her. I couldn't help. I trust that her new vassals will block the way of the heroes. Whereas she finished those words, her body fell to the ground and began to dissipate from the ground, disappearing completely. Where did that woman go? Emily shouted. Did she disappear? Chaka asked. I was afraid she was the witch, said Priscilla. We must warn the others, said Mariah. The witch? Are you talking about the prophecy? Chaka asked. About the witch's prophecy? Do you know her? Asked Priscilla. In my home, with my brigade. The witch in her last appearance created all kinds of forest fires. Many animals and families died in their villages, towns and homes. So then it is true, who has returned. I came to the school to improve my skills. I want to avoid ruin and devastation on the forests that I have protected so much all this time. said Chaka, while I was with the symphony orchestra. A boy told me about it, but I have an uncle who lives in Plateu. When I was little, he had told me about the prophecy. He told me to be ready for the fight. He himself forged my sword, Emily added. Did you hear Pry? You know her, said Mariah as she touched Priscilla's arm with her elbow. Yes, please, we need you to accompany us this afternoon to a secret place. There we will tell you about this, said Priscilla. Allies? Like a hero brigade or something? Asked Chaka. I want to join your group, Mariah, said Emily as she addressed Mariah. Yes. See you in the afternoon at this address, said Priscilla to Emily and Chaka as she handed them a paper with a map of the place in Green Hills, at the end of the duel with Alicia. Professor Silvana appeared in front of the four. Well, I think this makes the answers clearer, said the teacher. What are you talking about? Professor Silvana? He saw the four of them and wrote something in a small book. Everyone began to wonder about what Professor Silvana had told them near the Green Forest after the fight with Alicia that morning because of that doubtful and strange attitude. The afternoon fell and everyone met at Asgard Ranch to talk. Gavin, Roger, and Adrian were preparing to go to Astoria's castle, when suddenly, Priscilla and Mariah arrived with the new kids. Wait, Gavin, don't leave yet, Priscilla shouted. Why? What's going on? Gavin asked. We have something very important to tell you, Mariah said. About what? Roger asked. You guys visited a girl named Alicia years ago? Priscilla said. Yes. Why? Adrian replied. Well, she came back. We faced her in a duel. She had Scarlet Eagle's clothes on. We defeated her and in the end she started acting the same way the minister acted when he died while he was possessed, rolling her eyes and giving a message with an evil voice from the underworld. She said that she was an apprentice of the witch, her mistress, and that the witch's new vassals were about to appear, Priscilla commented. And what else did he say? Asked Black. It would be better to cancel the trip to Astoria's castle. The place no longer exists, said Priscilla. What? How do you say? Really? Asked Roger, Adrian and Gavin respectively. Yes. She herself told us that she destroyed the place, killed everyone and turned it into ruins, said Priscilla. Damn. That ends our chances of clues to the whereabouts of Marycross. The Princess of Asturias was the only person who could help us. Now what will we do? Said Gavin furiously. Alicia said she knew where Marycross was, but she didn't say where. But if it was that Alice was being controlled by the witch, Marycross was most likely a victim of the prophecy, where people disappear every day, commented Priscilla. This is serious. If Marycross was kidnapped by the witch, many things could happen to her, said Roger. They could turn her on the side of evil, and turn against us. She could be imprisoned in a dimension or could. I don't even want to think about it, said Adrian. Something inside me tells me that she is fine, and I know that we will rescue her. As Angelica said in the summer, we must unite and in this new beginning draw our goals, said Gavin. I agree, we must look for Marycross. The clues will arrive, said Black. By the way, Emily and Chaka are great duelists. They helped us eliminate Alicia. They would be two fundamental pieces in this group, said Mariah. I like to hear that. I think they passed the test, said Black. Count on us, answered Chaka. We will be a great help. Especially if we unite everyone's forces, said Emily. I also wanted to tell you that Alice had a strange mark on her arm. It was a red eagle, said Priscilla. Well, it's the shield of those fools, said Louis. Yes, but neither our house nor the others have that kind of mark. I have a theory that it must be a mark used by the witch's vassals, added Priscilla. Well, that will be another reason to investigate, and all those we face, see if they have that strange mark, Black concluded. Likewise, he proceeded to swear in the new kids under the ranch covenant, and thus, Emily Moyes and Chaka Rivers joined the group. Months passed, Halloween was approaching. the Green Hills neighborhood, and at the school the decorations of witches, ghosts, pumpkins with figures, bowls with candy were already in different sectors. It was September 28, 2008, that morning. While everyone was in the room talking and waiting for the next class, Professor Silvana arrived with Commissioner Tim Morgan. Around the room, there was a large group of Lunesque sentinels. With their blue polyester uniforms, helmets and weapons surrounding the entrances, and said, "Well, young days. We are here this morning to start with a security protocol for both the school and the entire town. First, let me let you know that all of you have passed this course, which will take you to the 8th year for next year. However, your next course will be a little different. We have decided to implement a new collegiate order in the House of Jade Clovers." New collegiate order? What do you mean? Gavin asked. Professor Silvana was about to answer Gavin's question. But at that point, Commissioner Tim Morgan interrupted her, a tall guy, with dark glasses, a mustache, in his suit with medals and emblems, and his identification as leader of the Lunesque Sentinels. "Dear students, what Professor Silvana is trying to tell you is that, from this moment on, you are people with very serious criminal records and we have come to arrest you," said Commissioner Morgan. "What? Why? What does this mean?" Black, Adrian and Lewis asked angrily. "Professor, please answer the student's question," the commissioner concluded, crossing his arms. And Professor Silvana opened a letter, took out a paper and began to read. The Rhoda School, together with the investigative body of the Lunesque Station, an organization attached to the Pizcet City Council, has determined that the students Gavin Fowler, Adrian Berry, Roger Green, Daniel Black, Albert Ulrich, Mariah Joseph, Priscilla Baldwin, Luis Lopez, Angelica Chong, along with the other students of the Casa Los Treboles de Jade, are accused of being part of the riot and responsible for the death of the minister of the City Council's Education Department. After several months of investigation, evidence, it was determined this serious act, also for his actions against the Inquisitor sisters and Professor Berenice, who were also murdered and kidnapped. Second, they are found guilty of being responsible for the disappearance of the girl Marycross Toadsworth. There is no trace of her in her home. In order to maintain the security and integrity of the people of the Pizcet town and the Rhoda School in the face of these criminals, the City Council has consulted the Patriarch about these acts that go against spirituality. The Patriarch, together with his quorum of the Great Cathedral, where the deacons, pontiffs, priests, vicars, nuns, fathers, sacristans and clerics, they concluded that this type of actions should be classified as the great sin or the first sin. The inhabitants of the town of Pizcet are agreeable to the situation and have shown their support for this. Decision. In conclusion, the cells of the Lunesque Station are full of criminals, so it has been ruled, so that they do not lose their education, they will be locked in the school dungeons. Under the workshop, there, they will spend days and nights, they will be given their homework of the respective subjects, they will eat there. In addition, all new students and those who will soon enter this house will be sent immediately along with the rest of the students of the house, to avoid any type of situation that may arise again. The Lunesque Station will send sentinels to the school to ensure security and prevent any type of escape of the accused. Well, you heard guys, please get up. Line up and our sentinel guards outside the room will take you to the dungeons, added the commissioner. This is unheard of. They lie. We are innocent. Everyone was shouting in the room. The entire school had left the classrooms, as if it were a parade. Everyone watched as the sentinels escorted all the student members of the House of Jade Clovers to the dungeons. Sinners, murderers, thieves. The rest of the students shouted, and with great enthusiasm, the Scarlet Eagles applauded this decision with joy. Upon arriving at the workshop, Professor Silvana opened a barred door, and signaled to the students to begin entering the dungeon. The chains and handcuffs were removed from their hands. The dungeon was a dark, cold place. They believed that they were going to be overcrowded, but fortunately the dungeon was a fairly large place. It could accommodate exactly 200 people, but the boys were barely less than 80. Finally, when everyone was inside, Professor Silvana and the commissioner approached the entrance. Let it be clear to you, criminals, if you try to escape, there are thousands of sentinels out there on the grounds of this school, as well as throughout the town. There are posters of you, and all the inhabitants know your identities, in newspapers, news announcements, and by the way, the Grand Campus has joined forces with the Lunesk station to create weapons. If they escape and we have to kill them, it will be easy. We will have machines to combat crimes like yours, two-wheeled vehicles, four-wheeled vehicles, wheels, flying vehicles, in short. Enjoy your stay in the dungeons, said Commissioner Morgan. I'm very sorry, young people, but we had no other option. The director Yuri Quested, with all the pain in her soul, signed the decree for the new collegiate order. But this is what happens when rules are not followed, and young people who are too smart like you, and above all, attack violations of nature such as murders and kidnapping of people. The first sin is something serious. The people had a lot for a long time without ruling something like that. I never thought that a group of students would be blamed for the decree of the first sin by the Council of the Great Patriarch Cathedral. Our God Eshin will never forgive them. A world of darkness and sulfur awaits them when they leave this world, and pay for what they did. See you later, said Professor Silvana. Both left the dungeons and the barred doors were closed with strength. A cold, dark and tense atmosphere was breathed in that closed place. It's over, we are lost. Evil has won, Gavin said resignedly as he leaned against one of the walls of the dungeons. Damn it. I hate that woman, Lewis shouted, just as the prophecy mentioned. The heroes will be marked for something they have not done and must clear their names, Black said. What is the story of the first sin? Ask Adrian. Marycross is not there. She must know, said Gavin as he hit the bars. I can answer that for you. When the heroes from many years ago faced the witch, she with her powers turned the entire world against her. People blaming them for an act that they had not committed. The first sin is an act of violation of the code, norms, rules, whatever you want to call it, that the god Eshin has in his sacred books, such as theft, murder, lies, lust, gluttony, envy, greed, anger, laziness, dishonoring a person. There are many examples. So they had to clear their names for what they did not commit, and justice was served when they defeated the witch, since everything she transformed into ruin returned to normal, Priscilla explained. Okay, but the heroes of the past hadn't been locked in a dungeon, Gavin said. And don't you have some escape plan? Fergie asked. Supposedly, if we maintain good behavior, they will let us participate in the Fudblesse Tournament Cup again in a few years. Now the teachers will make a team and take our place, said Nick. We could find a way to escape in the tournament, said Aaron. Do you think they would be that easy? Alberth answered. If we run away from here, they would catch us easily. We are the most wanted in town, said Paula. First year of classes and this is already happening. I just hope that the people in my village in New Riverville are safe and take care of the forests while I'm gone, said Chaka. Chaka, don't say that. We'll get out of this, said Emily. Let's think of a plan, friends, said Angelica. The environment, it is dark, hostile, cold and tense. Let's calm down and only then will the great ideas come to our minds and we will be able to get out of here, said Alvord. And if we get out, where will we go? Asked Mariah. If we manage to get out from here, it is not so simple. This dungeon has traps for those who wish to escape. If we escape, we could fall into the sewers, into the catacombs, into their labyrinths. We would go crazy down there. The catacombs are worse than this dungeon. There are creatures that you will never want to see, said Gavin, or even worse. We could be victims of the demon of the workshop, mentioned Priscilla. Demon of the workshop? Adrian asked with concern, of the story that I had told you in the first place. A demon that appears at night in the dungeons of the workshop, was the one that murdered a schoolgirl many years ago. They say it ate her alive, said Roger. And what is that demon like? He asked Emily. No one has ever seen it, but they say it is very powerful. Its form is, of what you fear the most or has hurt you. It is as if you sleep and the feelings of stress, depression, anxiety will merge into your dreams or your mind and become a black creature so large, that, in those dreams or mind, you could not defeat and it would always torment you. It is said that it is as powerful as the creature that lives in the ruins of the frozen mountain. They are the two creatures unpublished from the town of Pizcet, commented Roger. Does it have a name? Asked Emily. The old books know it as the Hand the Workshop. It is said that when he murdered the lady, a black, hairy hand, he lured her towards the dungeons, said Roger. While everyone was hearing about the creature that lived in the dungeons of the workshop, Gavin stood up and began to think near the bars. At that, Gustav approached him and asked him, Gavin, are you thinking of something? Do you have any plans? I think I do, said Gavin, who looked smiling and optimistic from what he had thought. So he shouted, silence, and all his housemates were silent, and he told them that he had an idea. Guys, I have an idea. I already know how we can get out of here. How? Asked Black, who was sitting on the ground and stood up. Marycross may not be with us, but her legacy will help us get out of here, he answered. Gavin, continue, said Adrian hopefully. Mariah, do you have the saxophone in your backpack? Asked Gavin. Yes. I always carry it with me on my bow staff, answered Mariah. Great. Listen, you just have to play the song that Marycross taught you to make a transportation lamp appear. If you manage to play it here, we will have a lamp in the dungeons and we will transport ourselves to Asgard Ranch, said Gavin. Excellent idea. It's true. I hadn't thought about it, said Black, but if we run away and they see that we're not here, they'll start looking for us and we'd put the anonymity of our barracks in danger, said Priscilla. Exactly, but it occurred to me that in certain hours of the day, we will be here, and we will use the lamp to go to the ranch like on the weekends, the nights, and they will not suspect anything. So we could go to the ranch and look for clues about the whereabouts of Marycross, and continue fighting against the prophecy to clear our names. No one will find out, said Gavin. A smart plan. I like it. I congratulate you, Gavin, Priscilla commented as she gave him a thumbs up. And if for some reason they see us or catch us out there, let's fight the sentinels and all those who are against us, said Gavin. What about our family? If the witch is already controlling the people as the prophecy says, it is likely that they will want to hand us over, Black asked. It is true, but we will go unnoticed by them for a while. It will be the best for both parties while all this ends, concluded Gavin. This is how Mariah took out her saxophone and began to play the lamp song, and then a purple light appeared with a white flash. From the ground, a branch came out and a small lamp began to form. Just as Gavin said, the legacy of Marycross's knowledge was going to get them out of the dungeons, and they would return to the ranch to find out the whereabouts of her friend and continue the fight against the prophecy. All the boys stood around the lamp, all holding hands like a human chain, and were teleported back to the ranch, and thus they began to carry out the plan that Gavin had told them about, returning to the dungeon and vice versa to go unnoticed by the others, sentinels and professors. The days passed and that was how the year ended. Now, they were preparing for what would be their 8th year, where many surprises awaited them.